half of London's workers are in roles where AI can automate a significant portion of their tasks. So this is a report coming out of a Bloomberg article where they're basically making the claim that there are over 50% of the people, I think over 3 million citizens, are in roles that are at a high risk or a very high risk of being automated or replaced by AI. Interestingly, a high number of those roles are in the legal field, software development, and even accounting, which is something I strongly disagree with. And not because I think that there's no exposure to AI in these roles or automation in these roles. I actually agree that there are a significant number of activities that developers do, that accountants do, that legal professionals may do. I don't know much about the legal field. That there's a significant amount of things that are being done on these teams that can be automated and can be improved through automation. But in terms of replacing the workers in these roles, I don't think that's going to happen. Or I think that'll happen in the short term, but over the long term, we'll start to see a rebound in the effect of AI because when we're talking about software engineering, when we're talking about law and finances, these are roles or these are areas of a business, of a society that require a high amount of trust, a high amount of accountability. And it has been made incredibly clear by almost every government that systems, software systems, cannot be held accountable for the impact that they have on human lives. That means someone on your team, someone in your staff must be accountable, must be able to explain why this software, why this automation, why this workflow is taking certain decisions. And that means there needs to be someone in place on the team to do that. And so that's one reason that I don't think it's ever going to replace the full workforce in these roles. Additionally, I believe that we're going to need more of the people in these roles because let's even start with just law. If we think about the amount of lawsuits that are going to be happening because people now are going to have access to more readily available information, right? People are going to more easily know what their rights are. They're likely to attempt to pursue more lawsuits, more legal support. That means more lawyers are going to be needed because even a few months ago, a defendant in some law room tried to have an AI agent talk to the judge, and the judge shut it down. Right? We're not doing this. You're not making a mockery of this proceeding. Right? So that means you still need a person in place to act on your behalf. And a lot of people are not going to have those discussions and communicate on their own. So they're going to recruit a lawyer to do that. Accountants. When we're talking about large amounts of money, large sums of money being managed by a piece of software that can make mistakes, at a certain level, you're not letting this software just make a trade, right? You're not just letting this software buy anything that it wants, right? You might have it recommend some purchase. You might have it do some research before the purchase, and then you go verify, some of the claims that it's made. But you are going to require a human to actually take responsibility for the decision being made with the money that is being spent. So you're going to need these humans in that role. And now another thing that was interesting about the article was that in nearly every role with exposure to AI, there is a belief from employers that they're no longer looking for like a okay person in the role. Like you don't need to just be a graphic designer. We need you to be a graphic designer, a great copywriter, a videographer, and be able to edit those videos later on, right? So they're almost looking for people that are multi-talented, very dynamic, and able to learn very quickly. And yes, that is something that maybe everyone right now doesn't have those skills, but at some point when they start using AI more, when they start embracing the tools that are available, they're going to be able to become those dynamic people, those renaissance people that can do everything with no time, right? And that's going to again end up with us having more of these roles being filled. We're going to have more of these people being necessary. And that's going to be when that's going to look like more opportunity for these fields and these spaces. And another interesting part that I just want to highlight that I don't feel like people are totally understanding is that, let me just read this quote. Much of the boring audit work of reviewing financial records or checking transactions can be automated, leaving human judgment primarily for the final sign off, said Seamus Ray, a private investor in AI businesses. Let me repeat this. This person is an investor in the same tools that they're saying are going to replace the people that do the roles today. They are someone who will benefit only if you believe them. And that does not mean that it's necessarily true what they are saying, right? I don't think it's true that these roles are going to be 100%, automated. It's not going to just be a sign off process and you just click a button and everything always works the same way. You're going to need to review that process periodically. You're going to need someone to review that process periodically. You're going to need someone to, design the process. You're going to need someone to sign off. Yes, but when I say sign off, you're going to need to sign off on different aspects, right? Human in the loop doesn't just mean you start the loop and then verify the loop completed. Human in the loop means you start the loop and then as different decision trees are created, as different conditions can be applied, you continue to make more decisions and you continue to, allow the automation to make the next step inside of the process. And again, you need people for that. So my only tip and the reason why I'm highlighting this is for the people that are feeling discouraged about their future employment opportunities. Understand that right now we're just in a very specific phase in the labor cycle due to AI being new. They don't actually, and I say they, these employers and companies don't actually know how it's going to impact their productivity or the quality of the products and services that they provide. They know it will impact it in a way, and they're trying to apply it in their current scenarios, in their current environment. But none of us are really 100% sure where you need a human versus where you can really rely on the technology. So the opportunity for you will be there as long as you're ready. So continue to develop your skills and be prepared for when the opportunity calls.